Hey everybody, today I'm planting up some spring bulbs into some containers. And this year I'm doing things a little bit differently. So in the past I put them in kind of a lot of these larger containers, but this year I want to use a lot more small containers. And that really came to me basically this winter while Liam and I were in Ireland. We kept going to the hardware store and to the greenhouses and nurseries, and we would just keep buying these little containers that would have daffodils or grape hyacinths in them. And we absolutely loved them. And Liam especially was just going gaga over all these little treats that were in the window. He just thought it was the coolest thing to be able to have these blooms, you know, right in the middle of winter kind of thing. And you know, it is when somebody you care about who maybe isn't as into gardening takes a liking to something in the garden and you just want to support that. Well, that's kind of where I'm at with this. So I want to make sure that I'm kind of feeding his love of these bulbs. And he is like a spring bulb kind of guy. He falls in love with it every time. His mother was the same way. She loved them as well. So what I'm doing, these are some tulips and these are some really cool doubles. I think those are going to be absolutely gorgeous. So you can see what I do, pointy side up, you can kind of see that the roots will be coming out of the bottom, and I pack them in pretty tight into here. And basically I put them like halfway down. Now, the ones that we would buy from the greenhouses and places in Ireland, the bulbs were actually above the soil. And so I'm guessing there'd be no problem with me planting them really high. However, I would like to maybe try, at least with the daffodils and the crocus, to be able to plant these out later on in the season, like once they're done flowering. So I think if I leave them up, if I bury them later, I'm worried they might rot or something. So I'm not sure. I don't really know too much. So my first one is done. You can see I plant them really dense and then just cover them with the soil. I do start with pre-moistened soil. I find that that's, a little easier for me. That way I know that there's water all the way down. This soil probably could use a little bit more water. So I'm thinking that before I basically put these away for the winter, I'm gonna probably give them another dose of water. Okay, so now I have to decide. I'm short one. You know what, maybe I can find a smaller container. I have all kinds of little things in here. This one's a little smaller. Let's see. So again, just gonna put that in there part way. Put one in the middle. Dance these around it. And I don't really get too panicky about these things. I did get all these from one of the box stores, or actually two of the box stores I went to, and they were all 50 to 70% off. So that was great. So I have some tulips. I also have some crocus. So we'll see how these do. I don't remember if I had crocus in my containers last year or not. So worth a try. So one plant that I don't have in here that I think I'm gonna miss is the grape hyacinths. We had a bunch of those in the window last year, and those were such beautiful plants, and they lasted a really long time. Like those blooms just kept going and going and going. I was so impressed with those, and I don't know, they're just really pretty, and some of the colors that were available were really great. So if I find some more of those, I might plant up those. I got a lot here though, so I'm really going to be quite loaded up. And again, when I'm doing them for this decorative purpose, I plant them way closer than you would normally plant them. So let's see, what color were those? That was the mixed one. So I'm gonna open another mixed one. And right now I am putting all like with like. And part of the reason for that is the way that we're gonna be using these. So we're gonna be putting these in the window. So as they get ready and bloom, we're gonna just bring them out and put them on display. So I could mix them all into one pot, and then I'd have this container that would just bloom for, at different points, different plants, different flowers will be blooming, but that gets a little bit messy when you have it indoors. So, the first thing that comes up might be those grape hyacinths or these crocus, and then the daffodils, and then the tulips would come up. And what I find with those is when that happens, they can look a little like the spent ones, like the grape hyacinths. Once they start going downhill, they kind of keep going downhill. So by having all the same plants in there, they're going to be on the same cycle. They're going to finish up at the same time. So this is kind of just a pot that I found kind of tucked in a corner somewhere. So I think because it's red, I have to think about what I put in there. I think these will be kind of pretty. So let's just see. Okay. So the daffodils, again, pointy side up. You can see the roots on these. So, and I'm going to plant these really, really tight because I want them to really fill this out. Let's see, where's my other one like that? Okay, so while I was watering these, I just made sure that there was enough water in there to moisten the soil. I am not wanting to get them really soggy and wet. Also, don't want them to dry out as well. So now I've got to put them away, and I need to let them be in a spot where they're going to get cold, because they do need a cold period through the winter so that they will flower. Otherwise, if you don't have the cold period, they can just rot, or they just don't do well, or they won't flower. So I'm going to put them here in the cold frame. This is where we keep our different kinds of shrubs and perennials over the winter. It's not heated and it's protected. So it usually is about 10 degrees warmer in here than it is outside. So usually, like here at my parents', it's a zone 5. So really these are kept in zone 6 conditions, maybe depending on how much wind there is. The wind can really cool this place down quite a bit. And that's all I have to do is, put them away just on the ground here. If you're looking for a spot for you to put them, again, you need that cold period. So for some people that's going to be in their garage, but other people's garages might not get cold enough. You can just put them outside, and just put them in a spot where maybe they're going to be under a snowbank or anything like that. They'll be fine usually. I mean, if you get really cold temperatures, it could harm them if it gets too cold, but most of these bulbs are super hardy, especially like the daffodils. Those are like extremely able to handle the cold. So you just gotta find your spot. Realize though that there are some critters that eat some of these bulbs. So like chipmunks and voles will go after tulips especially. They don't tend to go after daffodils. And I think crocus and hyacinths are pretty safe from all those critters. But it's gonna depend on your situation and what kind of animals you have. So you do wanna protect them from that. You can't just put them in like your basement where they're gonna be at 50 degrees all winter. That's just not going to be cold enough. So you may have to refrigerate them if that's the case. And let me tell you, like refrigerating all those, I don't think I want those in my refrigerator. So I'm lucky they're going to just do their thing in here. Then when I'm ready to have them bloom, usually about a month before I want them to bloom, I'll bring them out. They'll start to shoot up pretty quick if they get in a warm spot. Especially if the sun's beating down on that soil. As soon as that soil starts to heat up, they start popping up pretty quick. I never really know how long it's going to take, but I do like, again, keeping like with like because they tend to bloom around the same, or the plants will bloom at the same time. When I'm planting them outside, I don't worry so much about my bulbs being like face up or pointing up. If they're sideways, bulbs tend to figure it out. So when I'm outside, I don't worry about so much. When I'm planting them in containers, I do try to make sure that they're all pointing the right way, just because in a container, it becomes pretty obvious if one of the bulbs had to, if it was upside down and it had to work its way back up, it's gonna bloom later. So you're gonna have that one thing that might be coming up, 2 weeks later or a week later than the other ones. And when they're in the container like this, especially small containers, it's pretty obvious when one is kind of misfitty. I did have a couple bulbs that were really powdery or mushy. Those are not going to survive, so I didn't even plant them. Some of them that were questionable, I still stuck in there, but for the most part, these were pretty good bulbs. I was happy with them. So I am looking forward to coming in here, maybe grabbing a couple of them in January, maybe a couple of them in February, a couple of them in March, and just letting them kind of come out as we go. Liam is gonna love this. He's gonna love that we're gonna have blooms that we can bring in the house. So I think it's gonna be a good thing. I'm pretty thrilled with this. So hopefully they all do well. Looks like the varieties are good. That's the other thing too. This time of year, it's hit and miss as to what you're gonna find. So I was able to still find daffodils. Daffodils tend to be really hard to find once you start getting farther in, more into November. Tulips are usually pretty easy to come by. The grape hyacinths, I didn't see any of those. There's other ones that like snowdrops are also good, but I didn't see any of those. They had them as like the holiday gift type things, and they were more expensive. They're just in a single pot with the amaryllis or next to the amaryllis in the store. So I didn't get any of those, but there are other ones that you could put into pots, but these are some of my favorites. I'm going to be on the hunt though for some grape hyacinths because I think those look fantastic in containers as well. So, hey, that's it for now. Let me get these on the ground, and then I got to kind of get inside and get some other work done. Good news, while Liam and I were in Milwaukee, we stopped at Stein's and they had all their bulbs 75% off. So I got my grape hyacinths. These are the traditional, really dark purple ones. Love those. They did so well for us last year, and I loved how long the flowers lasted, so I got those. One of my favorites is the peppermint, Muscari peppermint. I love the color on it. It's really this icy blue color, and it has this little bit graduated color, so it's a little darker on the bottom. And then also got the mixed one. I love the mixed one as well because there is really nice variation in here. Some of the ones are graduated, some of them are almost white, some of them are dark, dark blue. I was really happy with that. Let's see, I also picked up a couple of regular hyacinths as well. And this one is the pink grapefruit mix. And I just thought, interesting color. I've never had one in this kind of grapefruit, orange, tangerine, peachy apricot color. I have had yellow before. I've had purple, but I don't know if I've had that color purple or not. So I'm looking forward to checking out that one as well. And then, oh, they had a couple of the parrot tulips as well. These are just so stunning. This one is called Black Parrot. Oh my goodness, look at the flower on that. It's just stunning. And I was really surprised that they also had some of these Proven Winner bulbs as well. I think it was last year Proven Winners came out with some bulbs, but I looked at them. Last year they were like in boxes. There weren't that many bulbs and they were like over 20 some dollars, just more than I wanted to spend. Well, these I think came out to be like 50 cents a bulb. At 75% off, I just couldn't resist it. And look at that. That is a really interesting tulip. I've never seen anything like that before. So I'm looking forward to checking that one out. This is this one here, look at that. That's another tulip, just a very interesting one. Just thought that was something pretty cool. They also had some of these double daffodils. I think this is really beautiful. I already planted this out. It's in our yard, planted it along the sidewalk. I wanted to put it in a spot where I knew I'd be able to see it, really enjoy it. I love double daffodils already, but this one seems really quite interesting. And then they also had, like, this is another set of doubles. We planted these out over at the cemetery, just to try them out there. And then we also had some of the regular ones that we planted out by the cemetery too. So I just feel like I got a great haul. We're heading back that way this week, and I am so tempted to get more of these Proven Winner ones just because they're varieties that I'm just not so familiar with. I don't usually see these kinds, so I'm very tempted to get more.